What if love isn't a coincidence? Have you ever found yourself sitting in silence, maybe in the calm of an early morning, hands wrapped around a cooling cup of coffee, wondering, why him? Why her? Why did I end up with this person, out of everyone in the world? And if you've never been married, perhaps the question has echoed differently. Why have I walked this path alone for so long? Why has love always felt just a little out of reach? Was it bad luck, wrong timing? Or could it be something far deeper? As we age, our view of love often changes. The rosy glow of youth fades, and quieter, deeper questions begin to rise. We look back on the people we've loved, the ones who stayed, the ones who left, and we begin to trace patterns. We search for meaning, for connections between joy and heartache, between union and separation. And it's here that ancient Buddhist wisdom offers a quiet, powerful perspective. It tells us, love is not random. The person you married, or didn't, isn't the result of mere chance. In fact, love might be karmic. Now that may sound mystical at first, but stay with me. At its core, karma is simply the law of cause and effect. It's the energy of your choices, your intentions, your actions, echoing forward through time, sometimes even across lifetimes. This means the people who enter your life, the ones you feel drawn to, and even the ones who break your heart. They may all be part of a story that began long before this lifetime. Your relationships, your love stories, the ones that blossomed and the ones that faded, they might be karmic reflections, reflections of past energy, of old lessons, of blessings, or even unresolved threads from another time. But this isn't about blame. It's not about punishing yourself for heartbreak or congratulating yourself for finding the one. It's about awareness. It's about seeing love as more than a feeling or a decision. Love is a mirror, one that reflects the energy we carry, the healing we need, the truths we've avoided, and the lessons we're ready to learn. In today's reflection, we'll take a soft, honest journey through this idea. We'll explore how karma shapes who we love, how we love, and why some relationships uplift us, while others quietly drain our spirit. We'll look at the energy behind attraction, and why some people seem to repeat the same painful love stories over and over again. And most importantly, how do you shift your karmic path, so that whether you're married, in the process of letting go, yearning for love, or content in your solitude, you can begin to move from confusion to clarity, from disappointment to deep understanding. Because this conversation isn't just about romance. It's about the sacred soul agreements we hold with others. It's about learning to see love not as something that happens to us, but as something that awakens through us. And by the time we reach the end of this journey, you may begin to see your past, your present, and even the deepest desires of your heart in an entirely new light. So wherever you are, partnered, divorced, widowed, or quietly thriving in your own peaceful company, I invite you to stay. Not just to listen with your ears, but to open your heart and spirit, because the truth we are about to explore might not only help you understand your relationships, it may finally help you understand yourself. Lesson 1. How karma shapes the person. You marry, we often find comfort in the idea that love is spontaneous, a spark, a magical moment when two people meet eyes and something just clicks. It feels poetic to believe love is written in the stars, that it's chemistry, chance, and timing. But in Buddhist teachings, we are offered something deeper, something even more magical in its complexity. The idea that the person you marry isn't chosen by coincidence. They're drawn to you through karma. Now, karma is a word we often hear, especially in the West, and yet it's so often misunderstood. We say, that's karma, when someone gets what they deserve. But in truth, karma isn't about revenge or reward. As the Buddha taught, it's not a system of punishment. It's a law of energy, of cause and effect. Karma is the invisible thread that weaves together intentions, actions, and consequences, not only in this life, but potentially across many lifetimes before. So, what does that have to do with marriage? Everything. According to Buddhist philosophy, the bond between two souls doesn't begin at first sight. It's not created in the moment you meet. It's remembered. That feeling of instant connection, or even intense resistance, it might be because your souls already know each other. Maybe you loved them in another life. Maybe you wronged them. Maybe you left them in their time of need, or held them through a painful ending. And now, in this life, karma has brought you together again, not to repeat the past, but to resolve it, to complete what was once unfinished, to heal, to grow in ways you once avoided. Let me share a story. During a Dharma retreat, I met an older couple, Helen and James. They had been married for over 50 years. When someone asked Helen their secret to such a lasting love, she smiled and said, "I think we've done this before." James laughed, but there was something quiet and knowing in his eyes. Their marriage hadn't always been smooth. They had faced seasons where separation seemed inevitable, but somehow, each time, they found their way back, stronger, wiser, softer. It wasn't because they were perfect. It was because, perhaps, their bond came from something far older than vows or paperwork. It came from a soul-level understanding, a karmic agreement to walk each other home again. But through all the ups and downs, there was always something unspoken between them, a sense of commitment that defied logic. I couldn't explain it, Helen told me, but I always felt like I owed him something, and like he owed me too. Not in a bad way, just like we weren't finished with each other yet. That, in essence, is karma. Some relationships are gentle, the partners are kind, balanced, and emotionally present. They grow together in a way that feels natural and peaceful. According to Buddhist teachings, these are often the fruits of positive karma, bonds formed from lifetimes of mutual care, truthfulness, and love. But others are more difficult. They're full of friction, imbalance, or emotional pain. These may be karmic debts rising to the surface. Sometimes, a person enters your life not to bring happiness, but to awaken something deeper. They show you where you're still wounded, where you're still holding on to illusions, where you haven't yet learned to let go. But this doesn't mean you're destined to suffer. Karma is not a punishment. It's a reflection. And the moment you become aware of it, you can begin to change it. To do that, though, you must first accept that your relationship, or even the absence of one, isn't the problem. It may be the mirror. If you've ever found yourself wondering, why do I keep attracting people who don't love me well? Or why did I stay in a marriage that drained me? Look deeper. Maybe the pattern isn't about them. Maybe it's about you. Maybe it's a pattern of self-abandonment. Maybe it's fear of loneliness that pushes you into the arms of anyone who offers attention. Or maybe it's a soul lesson you came into this life to finally learn. How to love without attachment, how to stay without clinging, and how to walk away without bitterness. The Buddha often spoke of Vedana, feeling, and how most people react impulsively to feelings without reflection. But karma, he said, begins with intention. When you love with clarity, compassion, and presence, you create new karma. gentler, more healing karma. So if you're in a relationship right now, ask yourself, what is this bond reflecting back to me? What am I truly bringing into this connection, not just with my words, but with my energy? And if you're single or have never married, don't ask, why haven't I found love? Instead ask, what kind of energy have I been sending out? Because love doesn't arrive when you simply want it. It arrives when you are ready, and karma always delivers. Not what you desire, but what your soul is prepared to receive. Lesson 2. Why some marriages feel like struggles. The karmic roots of pain. If you've lived through the storms of a difficult marriage, not just a disagreement or a hard month, but years of loneliness, resentment, or emotional silence, you may have sat in stillness and asked yourself, why did it end up like this? You remember the early days, the laughter, the hope, the dreams. You remember how deeply you believed this person would bring you peace. And yet here you are, perhaps still married, perhaps long separated, holding a heart bruised by the very relationship that once promised love. So why do some marriages, even those that began with true affection, turn into battlegrounds? From the Buddhist perspective, the answer isn't found in blame, but in karma. Karma isn't punishment. It's not some cosmic revenge. It's vibration. It's the echo of energy you once sent out, returning to be seen, healed, and released. And nowhere is karma more alive than in intimate relationships. When you marry someone, they don't just bring their habits and their history. They bring their pain, their fears, their past lives, and so do you. You bring your unmet childhood needs. You bring the love you wished you had growing up. You bring your defenses, your old heartbreaks, and the silent stories you tell yourself about what love should feel like. Sometimes, what you bring is a karmic debt, a broken promise from another lifetime, a betrayal that still echoes, an unresolved tie that reappears through the person you now call your partner. Buddhist teachings remind us a strong karmic bond will always find its way back into your life, but not to rekindle romance, to complete the unfinished story. Let me share one more story. At a temple in Oregon, I met an elderly woman named Judith. She'd been married over 40 years, to a man she described as difficult. He was distant, often angry, rarely affectionate. For decades, she felt invisible, unseen, unappreciated. But she stayed, not because she was weak, but because, as she said, I knew I was learning something my soul needed. No book could have taught me this kind of patience, this depth of compassion. She once told me, I used to think he was the reason I was unhappy. Now I see, he was the mirror. He showed me where I hadn't yet learned to love myself. Those words stayed with me, because the people who trigger us the most are often carrying the lesson our soul most deeply needs. So if your marriage feels heavy, if you find yourself feeling small, drained, or hurt, Buddhism doesn't ask you to run from the pain. It invites you to inquire. What is this suffering trying to reveal? What karmic pattern is being reawakened so that it can finally be released? But ask yourself this, what am I still holding on to? Is it control, fear, pride? What energy is keeping me stuck? Let's be clear, this is not a call to romanticize or spiritualize abuse. If your relationship is emotionally or physically harmful, the karmic lesson may be to leave, to set boundaries, to reclaim your worth, to finally break the cycle of accepting what your soul can no longer endure. Sometimes, karma isn't about enduring suffering. It's about ending it, with clarity, with courage, and without hate. But for many others, the lesson is more subtle. It might be learning how to stop blaming and start healing. to stop projecting your pain and begin reflecting on its roots, to shift from "you're hurting me" to "what within me still needs healing." Here's a difficult truth. We often attract the partner who reveals our pain, not to punish us, but to invite us to finally heal it. And when two people enter a relationship with unhealed wounds, that relationship can turn into a battlefield. One person feels unloved. The other feels unappreciated. One pulls away. The other chases. Words become weapons. Silence becomes distance. But beneath it all, your soul is whispering, "There's something here you're meant to see." So what do? We stop running. We sit still. We breathe. We ask, "What is this teaching me?" If you're still married and struggling, the lesson may be about presence, forgiveness, or deepening your own self-worth. If you've separated, the lesson may be about closure, compassion, or rewriting the stories you carry about love. And if you've never felt truly seen in a relationship, perhaps the lesson is you must see yourself first. As the Buddha taught, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When you begin to change your understanding, your karma begins to change too. No matter how painful your relationship has been, it is not a punishment. It is a path. And every path, if walked with awareness, leads back to the heart. Lesson 3. Cultivating blessings to attract the partner you're meant for. We live in a world that constantly encourages us to seek, to chase, and to strive for the right person. Dating apps, love coaches, social media quotes, all whisper the same message: find the one. Manifest your soulmate. Don't settle. But amidst the noise, Buddhism offers a softer, wiser question. One that cuts through the surface and leads us inward. Are you becoming the right person? Because in Buddhist philosophy, love isn't something you stumble into by accident. It's not about luck, timing, or even pure chemistry. It's something you prepare for, intentionally, patiently, soulfully. A meaningful, lasting relationship doesn't arrive just because you desire it. It blossoms when you've cultivated the inner soil, the emotional and spiritual readiness for love to take root and flourish. Love is not a lottery, it's a practice. There's a quiet truth at the heart of this teaching, and it lies in a concept that appears in both Buddhist and existential thought. Kierkegaard's bow, what Buddhism might call blessings or merit. These blessings aren't random, they aren't wishful thinking, they are the unseen spiritual fruits of your thoughts, actions, and intentions, especially in how you treat others. In the Buddhist tradition, merit is the positive energy you generate by living in harmony with compassion, truth, and presence. It's the invisible light that gathers around you when you live with integrity, and over time, that light becomes magnetic. When it comes to love and partnership, these blessings matter more than outer charm, physical attraction, or even emotional compatibility. As Master Oneyu once said, you cannot enter a marriage that is greater than your blessings. It's a humbling teaching. It reminds us that love is not owed to us. It's not a reward, it's a reflection. A spiritually aligned relationship doesn't just fall into your lap. It arises when you've done the inner work to hold it with care, maturity, and grace. Your blessings are your spiritual wealth. Think of blessings as a kind of spiritual currency. When you practice kindness without expecting return, when you speak truthfully even when it's hard, when you treat others with respect, humility, and care, especially in matters of the heart, you're accumulating invisible wealth. This wealth isn't stored in banks or displayed on Instagram. It's stored in your vibration, your aura, your presence. And like energy attracts like energy. When your inner world radiates sincerity, empathy, and peace, you naturally begin to attract relationships that carry those same frequencies. But what happens when your past is full of betrayal, dishonesty, or emotional withdrawal? What if your patterns, though subtle, have left a trail of wounded connections behind you? Even small actions, repeated over time, begin to dim your blessings. They cloud your light, and eventually they shape the quality of love you allow into your life. That's why two people can meet, feel an instant spark, and still fall into toxic patterns. Because attraction is not alignment. Desire is not destiny. What you attract is not based on what you want. It's based on who you are, on your spiritual readiness. The mirror of relationships. Maybe you've asked yourself, why do I keep attracting people who aren't ready? Why do I fall for those who are emotionally unavailable, unreliable, or inconsistent? It's not punishment. It's not karma trying to hurt you. It's a mirror. Your relationships reflect your inner energy, not as judgment, but as guidance. So how do we shift the reflection? How do we stop longing for love and start living in a way that invites it gently, naturally, and beautifully? Step 1. Let the relationship begin. Within the relationship you want, the emotionally available, spiritually grounded, deeply loving partnership must begin with you. Before you ask, where is my partner? Ask instead, am I becoming the kind of person I want to meet? Do you desire someone who is emotionally mature, patient, honest, and kind? Then ask yourself, are you nurturing those qualities within? Not perfectly, because perfection is never the goal, but sincerely. Do I truly listen when others speak, or am I waiting to reply? Do I express my needs honestly, without manipulation? Do I forgive, or do I hold on to past wounds as proof of my pain? These questions aren't easy. They require honesty. They invite discomfort. But they are the doorway to soul-level love. Because when you embody what you seek, you stop attracting lessons and start attracting love. Step 2. Reflect gently on your past. Most of us carry what can only be described as emotional residue from past relationships, betrayal, abandonment, shame, regret. We tuck it away, hoping time will dissolve it. But energy doesn't simply vanish, it lingers. And if unhealed, it leaks into your present. If you've never truly forgiven your ex or yourself, that energy still colors how you see others. It influences your trust, your openness, your ability to receive love when it comes. I once knew a man named Charles. He had been divorced for over 20 years. The end of his marriage had left him bitter and closed. She ruined me, he would say. Still, he kept dating, still hoping, still searching. But no one stayed. One day, in a moment of quiet vulnerability, Charles asked, "Why does everyone leave me?" And the truth, though painful, was this: because you never let go of the one who already did. Charles wasn't ready for new love, because he hadn't released the past. So he began the work, meditating, writing letters he never sent, offering quiet apologies, not to reconcile but to release. And slowly, something in him softened. Less than a year later, he met someone. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't dramatic. She was real. She was kind. And this time, Charles was ready. Because he had shifted his karma, not by chasing love, but by healing himself. Step 3. Align your life with love. Desire alone is not enough. If you want a compassionate, kind-hearted partner, create a life that reflects that same compassion. Help others. Speak with honesty. Practice forgiveness. Release gossip, bitterness, and resentment. Keep your heart open, even when it has been bruised. When you live in alignment with love, you stop needing to search for it. Love begins to recognize you, because love doesn't respond to longing, it responds to readiness. In the end, your partner is not a prize. They are a mirror, and that mirror becomes more loving, more peaceful, and more true. The moment your inner world becomes a place where love can breathe. As the Buddha so wisely taught, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, a person cannot live without a spiritual life. And in the same way, love cannot flourish without inner preparation. So don't just search for love. Become it. Live it. And let it find you. Let it feel safe enough to stay. Love is not waiting somewhere outside of you. It's unfolding within you, moment by moment, choice by choice. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, understanding over judgment, presence over avoidance, you build the foundation for a love that is not only deep, but sacred. So the question isn't, when will I find love? The question is, am I building a life where love would feel at home? Because when you become the person you're meant to be, you will attract the love you're meant to have. And that is the truest blessing of all. Lesson 4. Breaking the cycle. Letting go of past karmic baggage in love. There comes a moment in many people's lives, often in the quieter years when life has slowed just enough for reflection, when a truth begins to rise to the surface. You look back on the love stories that came and went. You think about the people you once held close, the promises made and broken, the goodbyes whispered in pain or silence. You replay the same kinds of endings, the same type of ache, and then it hits you, not all at once, but slowly, gently. The faces changed, the names changed, but the pattern remained the same. It might have been heartbreak, again and again, or the recurring loneliness that no relationship seemed to fix, or that quiet ache of feeling unseen, unheard, unloved. And eventually, you begin to ask a question that isn't easy to face. Is it really always them? Or is it something I'm still carrying? In Buddhist philosophy, this question is not an accusation. It's not about blame or shame. It is an invitation to go deeper, to look within, to consider that the outer world, especially in love, mirrors the inner world. Because what you carry, you create. And nowhere is this truth more alive than in your relationships. We often think karma is about big, dramatic choices, life-changing moments, grand decisions. But more often, karma weaves itself into the subtle layers of daily living, in the tone of our voice, in the fears we haven't faced, in the stories we continue to believe about ourselves and love. Karmic residue. The unseen weight. In relationships, most of us carry what could be called karmic residue, emotional baggage from the past that still lingers, even when we believe we've moved on. This residue can show up in many ways. The memory of betrayal we never fully processed, the heartbreak we shoved into silence because we didn't know how to grieve, the belief, often rooted in childhood, that we must earn love to deserve it, or a deep, sharp anger we never expressed, buried so far beneath the surface that it now shows up as withdrawal, sarcasm, or detachment. And yet we continue to seek love. We long for connection. We move from one partner to another, hoping this time it will be different. But something still feels incomplete. Something in us still feels guarded, mistrustful, or heavy. Here's the truth that so few are willing to face. Until you clean the window, the light of love can't shine through. Letting go of karmic baggage doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It's not about rushing to forgive. It's not about bypassing grief. It's about facing it honestly, bravely, naming it. and then making a conscious choice to stop dragging it into the next chapter of your life. A true story of karmic healing. I once met a woman named Teresa in a quiet meditation circle in Northern California. She was 68, elegant in presence, warm in voice, and deeply reflective. Her story, like many others, held sorrow, but also wisdom. She had been divorced for over 2 decades. The end of her marriage had left her emotionally shattered. In the years that followed, she created a life of peaceful solitude. She found joy in books, gardens, stillness, and silent mornings, and yet her heart still longed for companionship. Every time someone showed interest, she pulled away. "They remind me of my ex," she'd say, or, "It's just not the right time." But as we spoke more openly, something deeper came into view. Teresa wasn't afraid of being alone. She was afraid of being hurt again, so without realizing it, she had created a protective wall, one that kept everyone at a safe distance, even those who meant her well. She had been reliving her wound, not through another heartbreak, but through isolation. It took her months of gentle inward work, forgiveness, rituals, silent meditations, journaling and self-inquiry, even writing letters she never sent, until one day her eyes welled with quiet tears and she said, "I think I've been keeping love out, because I still see it through the eyes of pain." That moment was not dramatic, but it was transformative. It was the release she had unknowingly waited for. Within a year, Teresa met someone. Not someone to complete her, but someone to walk beside her. He wasn't perfect, but she didn't need perfection anymore. She needed presence, peace, realness, and for the first time in decades, she could receive it, because she had liberated herself from her karmic past. How to begin your karmic healing. So how do you begin? How do you break the cycle of karmic residue and finally let love in, whether that's love from another or from within? Here are 4 gentle but powerful steps. Identify the patterns. Start by looking at your past relationships, not with shame, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what do these connections have in common? Do you see repeating themes? Betrayal, abandonment, control, emotional unavailability. These patterns are not coincidences. They are reflections. They are karmic loops, waiting to be seen and released. Practice mindful awareness of triggers. When someone says something that hurts you deeply, pause. Instead of reacting, ask, is this wound from today, or is it an echo from long ago? Often, what we believe is a reaction to the present is actually an unhealed past emotion resurfacing. Mindfulness helps you catch the moment before the wound takes over. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about understanding it. Forgive. To free yourself. Forgiveness in Buddhism is not the same as approval. It's not about excusing what happened. It's about choosing freedom. It's saying, I no longer give you the power to define how I love or how I live. Forgiveness is a spiritual release, and sometimes it's not just others we need to forgive. It's ourselves, for what we tolerated, for what we believed, for the ways we forgot our worth. Make space for something new. Love needs space to grow. Clean your heart, emotionally, spiritually, even physically. Release old love letters. Let go of unspoken resentment. Write a letter to your younger self. Fill it with compassion, not judgment. Light a candle and speak aloud what you're ready to let go of. Treat your heart like a sacred altar. Tend to it. Clear it. Not for a savior, but for a sacred meeting. With peace, with love, with truth. Because once you truly let go of the pain, new blessings can enter. Not always in the form of a new partner, sometimes in the form of clarity, sometimes in the form of inner peace, but always in the form of freedom. As the great Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once wrote, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free." That includes you. You deserve to love in a way that sets you free, and that freedom begins the moment you stop carrying what was never yours to keep. From karmic pain to karmic power, your past does not define your future. Your karma is not a life sentence. It is a living reflection, one that changes as you change. Every time you choose compassion instead of bitterness, forgiveness instead of blame, truth instead of avoidance, you are rewriting your karmic story. And remember this, you are not broken, you are brave, because you loved, you risked, you opened your heart. And that willingness, that courage, is what makes you whole. So today, if your heart still carries a little weight, breathe into it. Hold it with gentleness. Then ask yourself, what is love asking me to let go of, so that it can return in a new, pure form? Because your love story isn't over. This chapter, this inner transformation, might just be the most sacred one yet. Lesson 5, how to build a spiritually aligned relationship, one rooted in compassion and inner peace. If there's one thing Buddhist wisdom teaches us about love, it's this. Lasting love isn't built on attraction alone. It's not about the fiery passion that fades, or the desperate hope that someone will fill the emptiness inside. True love, soulful love, is built on something far deeper, shared values, spiritual presence, and the quiet, daily practice of compassion. Many people chase the dream of a perfect partner. They seek chemistry, excitement, compatibility, but what often gets overlooked is spiritual alignment. This doesn't mean you have to share the same religion or meditate together every morning. It means this: you walk through life with similar intentions. You both value peace over power, truth over convenience, growth over comfort, and love over ego. Most importantly, you don't love from lack, you love from wholeness. This kind of relationship isn't rare because it's unrealistic. It's rare because most of us were never taught to prepare for it. We prepare for careers, we prepare for retirement, but rarely do we prepare our hearts to become a safe, sacred space for love to land. So how do we build a relationship that reflects our spiritual path? It always begins within. Again and again, we return to this truth. The quality of your relationship is a mirror of your inner world. If your mind is restless, your love will feel unsettled. If your heart is closed, your partner will feel distant. But if your spirit is rooted in compassion, mindfulness, and integrity, what you offer becomes a source of healing, not just for the one you love, but for yourself. Compassion is the foundation. It's the ability to see your partner not as a role to be fulfilled, but as a soul on a journey, someone with fears, flaws, and past wounds, yet still worthy of kindness and care. When conflict arises, and it always will, the goal is not to win. The question becomes, how can I soften here? How can I love more skillfully? I once heard an elderly couple speak at a temple gathering. They had been married for over 60 years. When someone asked how they stayed together so long, the husband smiled and said, "We made a decision early on. Only one of us could be upset at a time. If she was on fire, I became water. If I was the storm, she became the sky." That, my friends, is spiritual partnership. Not because it avoids struggle, but because it meets it with presence. Inner peace is the second pillar. If you're emotionally reactive, dependent, or in constant turmoil, no relationship can hold that weight forever. This is why solitude matters, why reflection matters, Because when two people come together, each grounded in their own peace, the relationship becomes a sanctuary, not a battlefield. You can rest in each other, not wrestle for control. You can be honest without fear. You can love without losing yourself. And finally, build your spiritual relationship through shared practice. That could be sitting in silence, taking an evening walk to reflect on the day, or simply holding hands each morning, whispering, "May we love well today. May we be kind to one another. May we remember what matters." It doesn't have to be grand or ritualized. What matters is intention. Treat your relationship as sacred, not as something to manage or survive, but as something to nurture, like a garden. When weeds arise, pull them early. When drought comes, water with patience. When flowers bloom, celebrate them. Let them remind you of the grace that grows from presence and care. In Buddhism, there is a term, kalyana mitta, spiritual friend. Someone who walks beside you on the path, encouraging you, supporting you, gently guiding you back to your highest self. In a truly awakened relationship, your partner becomes your kalyana mitta, not your savior, not your possession, but your fellow traveler. They walk beside you, not ahead, not behind, but with you. So if you're in a relationship today, ask yourself, are we growing spiritually together? Or just growing older together? Are we co-creating peace or simply sharing space? And if you're seeking love, don't just ask, who is out there? Ask, who am I coming in here? Because the partner you attract will not rise above the energy you emit. Love doesn't just find you, it recognizes you. And when that love is aligned, not just emotionally, but spiritually, it won't feel like escape. It will feel like home. Closing reflections. Love is karma, and karma is a choice. So, what do we make of it all? The joys and heartbreaks of love, the tenderness, the longing, the years spent beside someone who either held us up or let us fall. The quiet ache of loneliness, the surprising peace of solitude, all of it like golden thread woven into the karmic tapestry of your life. The unique story only your soul knows. This path we've walked together today. It doesn't promise answers to every ache. It doesn't offer a perfect formula for marriage. Buddhism doesn't guarantee outcomes. It offers perspective. And what it gently reminds us is this: you do not love at random. You love in accordance with your energy, your karma, your readiness. The people who enter your life, especially those who stir your soul, don't come by accident. They come by resonance. Some arrive to teach, some to challenge, some to mirror the very things you've hidden from yourself, and a rare few arrive to walk with you, not to complete you, but to recognize you exactly as you are. And if you're truly fortunate, you'll meet someone who walks with you in peace. But even the difficult ones, they were not mistakes. They were messengers. Sometimes, the partner who hurt you the most was the one who gave you the clearest view of yourself. The one who betrayed you taught you self-worth. The one who left you taught you how to stand on your own and still rise. Love in every form leaves behind a teaching, and in that way, nothing is wasted. Yet here's the most powerful truth of all. Karma is not fixed. It's fluid. It's alive. It listens, not just to your past, but to your present intention, which means you are never trapped by your relationships. You are always shaping the ones yet to come. So the real question is not, what happened to me in love? The question is, who am I willing to become so love can feel sacred again? Can you release bitterness and choose compassion? Can you stop waiting to be loved and begin radiating love? Can you rewrite the story of who you are what you deserve, and how love is meant to appear. And instead, trust that the heart always knows its way home. If you are partnered, may you see your spouse not just as a companion, but as a soul evolving beside you. Treat your relationship not as a contract, but as a practice. Let each day be an offering of presence, of patience, of grace. If you are single, release the idea that something is missing. You are whole, right now. Love is not something you chase. It is something you become. And the more aligned you are with peace, the more love will arrive. Not always in romantic form, but always in meaningful form. And if you carry wounds from love, meet them not with shame, but with reverence. Those scars are sacred. They show that you dared to open, that you took the risk to feel, that you reached for something real. That doesn't make you broken, that makes you brave. So as we close this reflection, I leave you with this. Love is karma, but karma is a choice. Every time you forgive, you rewrite it. Every time you act with compassion, you elevate it. Every time you honor your heart, you become a vessel for something deeper than romance, something timeless, something true. If today's message touched your spirit, I invite you to pause and reflect. What has love taught you? What has karma shown you? And how will you choose to love from this moment forward? Your story is not finished. This chapter, perhaps your most powerful one, is just beginning. And if you'd like to walk this path of inner wisdom with us, you are always welcome here. Please subscribe to Insightful Journey for more reflections. Rooted in Buddhist insight, human honesty, and the quiet strength of a soul that never stops growing. Because in the end, love is not just a feeling, it's the karma we choose to live